In Arc Raiders, key rooms are supposed to hold the best loot in the game, especially during night raids. But, is that actually true? And are they worth it compared to just running an optimized loot route? Today, I plan to try and answer that question by conducting a small key room test. The parameters are simple. I'm going to run a total of 6 keys, 2 uncommon, 2 rare, and 2 epic, where one of each will be during the day and the other one during a night raid. In order to try and make the results a little more precise, I will also be running the same key for each rarity. Hopefully this will allow us to gauge the true difference between the loot you get from day versus night raid key rooms. So without further ado, let's hop into it because I think the results are going to surprise you.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
Oh my... bro. Starting things off with the green keys, for which we decided to do damn surveillance room, and thankfully we got a really good spawn. So we quickly headed straight there, hoping we'd be the first ones to arrive, but of course nothing's ever that easy, and as we expected, we were going to have to fight for control of some of these key rooms. Kind of a decently hard push. Oh, that's outside somewhere. If you want, you can go. Oh, someone's in the room for sure. Oh, knocks. Beamed one, but I gotta back up. I'm peeking again. There's one at like the end of my corner. I'm inside.
Oh, there's one on my door.
Could be 2 by you right now. It might have turned into a whole fiesta. 2 people on me.
God, I'm surrounded by bots.
I'm chilling right now. Wait, play slow. Beamed one.
They just smoked right side. One's definitely in that room, yeah. Just threw mine or
Beamed one. One's 1 HP. Knocked one. He's in the back room. Or he's in the room. Cracked. Holy Lord. Now that we had taken care of the bogeys, my teammates scooped up their loot and I was able to make my way into the key room. Osprey, okay, it's not too bad. A lot of defibs. Okay, I've looted everything in the room. This is what I got. And now I'm about to loot the players. I don't want the loot to get too confused. So of course, both of us did fill up our inventories from the 4 dead raiders, but when specifically looking at the loot that I got from the key room, I'd say it was pretty, well, not good to say the least, which made me think the loot probably wasn't going to be that great during a night raid either. But even in my wildest dreams, I couldn't have imagined how wrong that prediction actually was. And both thankfully and surprisingly, this time around we were actually the first ones there, despite having even a slightly worse spawn than before. Ooh, Tempest too. That's actually not too bad. Oh, okay, wait a minute. This... Okay, hold on. Why is the loot in here so good this time around? Goop, goop, goop. Olé. Oh my good God. Okay, well, let's leave.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
Oh my, bro. Knocked one. Knocked two. Oh my God, that was... What in the fuck? Yeah, I couldn't have even scripted it better than that, if I'm being honest. If my teammate's jolt mine wasn't still there, I 100% would have just been dead almost instantly, but since it was, my absolute throw actually turned into a 5-head bait. And I gotta say that I was very pleasantly surprised by the loot this run. I mean, a Tempest, Volcano, Venator, and Snaphook, all from that same room, is more than I could have imagined, especially considering this is just an uncommon and/or green key. However, as we moved on to do our rare keys, things were not gonna go quite as smoothly. See, at first, our plan was to try and do the Blue Gate communication key, so we loaded into a night raid to try and knock that out first while it was still available. Unfortunately though, we loaded in a few minutes late and it was already a war zone towards Pilgrim's Peak, which is where the key room is located. Regardless, we tried making our way over, even snagged a few kills on some very juiced raiders, but ultimately there were multiple teams there and one of them was just sitting on the tower with ospreys, giving us no choice but to just extract and try again. But then Santa came earlier this year and we got extract camped anyways.
There's 3 teams surrounding it.
So, with the night raid map condition about to run out on Blue Gate, we loaded back into another match, hoping things would go at least a little bit better this time. But they didn't. We loaded in extremely late, and by the time we got to the key room, it had already been looted. Thankfully, this time we were at least able to extract. So, we ended up changing our plans a bit and decided to try our luck with spaceport control tower keys instead. Once again though, we loaded in late, which seems to be happening very commonly as of recent, I might add. However, we made a mad dash for the key room, and were lucky enough to find that it hadn't been opened yet. So we made our way up the zipline so I could start looting.
Oh my God, there's a person looting this thing right here.
Okay. He fell all the way down, I think. Torrente, okay. Complex gun parts. Rattler. 2 rattlers in the same container. Sheesh. That's max win. Yeah, this might have to be some of the worst loot I could have actually imagined. I mean, I got a Torrente 2, an Arpeggio, 2 rattlers, a silencer 2, 5 processors, 5 sensors, 1 complex gun part. I mean, it's just like useless. Shit. I mean, it's not like useless, but it's just like, it's quite literally worse than just doing a regular loot route. If you couldn't already tell, I wasn't exactly stoked by the loot that we got from this particular key room. And I know, it's just a daytime key, but the fact is, I could have gotten significantly better loot by just running my loot route on Spaceport during daytime. And you don't have to deal with stuff like this when doing so. Oh my god. On me. Knocked one, this guy's half. He's gonna try and fin me, I think. He's on the left, It tucked in the corner. Okay, you can play defib if you want. Gary's probably gonna push. They can go around the right, by the way.
Yeah, I'm watching. I'll put a mine
I'm peeking
here.
on the right. On the right. One's cracked.
No, one's not.
On the right. Dead. Either way though, we made our way to the extract and loaded up a night raid to rerun the key, hoping that maybe it would be similar to our dam key where we would get significantly better loot this time around. Thankfully, once again, we were the first ones here, or potentially just the only ones interested in running this particular key room this raid, but regardless, I started looting up everything as fast as I could. I found an augment blueprint, but it's a bad one. Oh, snap hook. Okay, well that's kind of cool, I guess. Interesting that technically the snap hook wasn't in a locked or in part of the locked room. I don't really know if that should even count, but... Now, I'll let you guys decide for yourselves if you think that little container on the roof counts as part of the key room or not. I think you can technically get up there by using enough zip lines, but I'm of the assumption that that's not really intended and may change in the future. Even still though, whether you count the snap hook or not, I'd say this room in general, both during the day and at night, was sort of a letdown. I mean, I didn't even get a single purple item this run, let alone something like a purple gun, so yeah, I don't know. The one saving grace, I suppose, is that we did get an augment blueprint, so if that happened to just be an actually useful augment, and not one of the worst ones in the game that I've already learned, then that could have made up for it, but I suppose we just got a bit unlucky in that regard. With that being said though, I do find the difference in loot between this rare key on the harder map Spaceport and our uncommon key on the easiest map Dam Battlegrounds to be a bit staggering. However, this is still a small sample size, of course, so everything does have to be taken with a grain of salt, but at the same time, it's not like your average player is just tripping over keys left and right in every raid, so you'd kind of expect that each and every one you do should provide some minimum baseline of valuable loot, especially when you consider the increased risk of PvP. And last, but hopefully not least, we have our epic key, for which we chose to do Buried City Town Hall, to change up the map once again, and this also worked out pretty well because it allowed us to test 3 different difficulties of maps, since Dam is difficulty 2, Spaceport is difficulty 3, and Buried City is difficulty 4. Albeit, I didn't find it likely that this would make too much of a difference, and as of yet, the increased difficulty of Spaceport clearly didn't result in better loot, at least in our experience. Thankfully, even though we spawned late, we were the first ones here to do the key, so we set up some mines and I got to looting. Ooh, it's actually not bad. Silencer 3 and a deadline. Wait, there was literally nothing in my jewelry box room. What the hell? It's like usually where the good loot is, and there's just nothing. Found 3 blaze grenades so far. Ooh, anvil splitter. Goop, goop, goop.
You can loot these too. Or at least that one. Not this one.
After I finished up looting, we headed to the nearest extract and made our escape. All in all, I'd say the loot from this key for a daytime raid really wasn't too bad. We got 4 epics, a legendary attachment, just unfortunately it was an anvil splitter instead of a kinetic converter, which is quite a bit better in my opinion, but we also got a blueprint as well, albeit not a particularly rare one to be fair, but it was still significantly better overall than even the night raid spaceport key, so that at least felt pretty darn good. Now, when we headed back in for our first attempt at doing the key during a night raid, something pretty weird ended up happening. And truthfully, I'm not really in the business of just willy-nilly accusing people of cheating. At the end of the day, I think that's up to the developers to decide and dish out the necessary consequences. You know, feel free to report people if you think they're suspicious. But this particular case was unusually suspicious. So I'll kind of just let the situation play out, and feel free to let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
Wait, I hear mines.
Oh yeah, it's unlocked, so we should just leave. We'll never be able to push them. We should just go extract. At this point, nothing super crazy has happened quite yet, but I will just point out that it is uniquely odd to push outside the front door of the Town Hall keyroom because it's incredibly easy to defend from the inside. But don't worry, it gets a lot crazier in just a moment. Oh, they're in. What? Yo. So yeah, let's watch that back really quick. He quite literally killed me in 3/4 of a second, completely through a smoke, and then that same guy proceeded to hit headshots only on my teammate. Also, here is his Steam profile. So I don't know. Like I said, I usually don't like to throw around the cheater card willy-nilly, but if you ask me, this one was pretty blatant. But once again, feel free to let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Either way, after that demoralizing experience, we mustered up the courage to throw on some more kits and head back into another raid. Confident that at the very least, that cheater or god gamer, whatever you want to think he was, would be stuck in the previous lobby, causing havoc for those poor souls instead of us. And this time around, our luck was already looking a bit better, because we were the first ones to the key room. So as always, we set up some mines, and then I started looting. Ooh, Tempest. Okay, that's something at least. Okay, well, I think I looted everything. And yeah, I don't... Oh, Berletta. Okay. Yeah, I probably won't say this in the video, but like, this is dog shit. Like, I mean, I basically just got a bunch of random junk that you could just as easily find anywhere else on the map. Plus a Tempest and a Renegade, I guess. But like, the Renegade is not anything unique either. I mean, the Tempest is, I guess, kind of unique, but like, you could also find that in weapon cases and shit, not in key rooms. Like, for a purple key room, this is like disgusting. Like a purple key room at night on one of the highest difficulty maps. This actually just doesn't make any sense. Now, obviously, I wasn't planning on leaving that part in the video, but after thinking about it, I thought it just made sense to give you guys kind of my raw impressions in the moment. And it's not like this was my first ever purple key room, just to be clear, but I have run a lot of relatively optimized loot routes in between my previous key room session and this one, so it definitely allowed me to have a different perspective. With that being said though, here's the loot from all 6 key room runs. And I think the most interesting thing to me is that if you were to exclude the damn keys from the equation for a second, then I actually got far better loot from the day raids when compared to the night raids. even when you include the dam raids, it's still pretty odd in my opinion that the number of purples I got from day versus night raids is the exact same at 6 for each, because the level of risk involved with night raid keyrooms is like 2 to 3 times higher just from the PvP alone, and that's not even taking into account just how unbelievably safe it is to be able to use a hatch key after the keyroom, which of course you can't do during night raids. I did end up getting 2 legendaries from the night raids compared to only 1 from the day raids, which is worth noting, and beyond that, it's still pretty puzzling to me that the best loot by far came from the uncommon / green dam surveillance key. I mean, that has to be one of the most common keys I've found. Between my duo and I think we had like 7 total of that one particular key laying around in our stashes, so in theory the loot there should be a decent bit worse than something like the Buried City Town Hall, but not only was the loot significantly better from the dam key, it also came from a total of maybe 5 to 10 containers, whereas the Buried City keyroom has like 20 containers to loot, but somehow the loot was still worse overall. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to each individual person to determine whether or not they think the keyrooms are worth it for them, so feel free to let me know what you think down in the comments. But if you were to ask me, the answer would be an astounding no. And I really think Embark should contemplate maybe attaching blueprints to some of these keyrooms. I don't think they should be exclusively locked to the keyrooms though, just to be clear, so you should still be able to find those blueprints elsewhere. But just as an example, if you're specifically looking for augment blueprints, then maybe you go run this one particular key because it has a high chance to produce them. Or if you're specifically looking for the Venator blueprint, then you go run this other key. Or the Volcano blueprint comes from that one key on Stella Montes. You know, these are all just random examples, but hopefully that makes sense. Because right now, I think blueprints are a pretty significant pain point for your average player, and simultaneously keyrooms seem to be pretty lackluster, so I feel like you could pretty easily kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and this would be the best way to do that. And ultimately, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed. As I said in the disclaimer, obviously this was a relatively small sample size, but as I said later in the video, your average player isn't tripping over keys left and right in each raid, so I feel like from each individual key you run, you should expect some baseline of loot. I mean, if you ask me, getting a green gun from a weapon case inside of a purple keyroom at night realistically just shouldn't be allowed. You know, I don't know what they would need to do to prevent that, but like blue guns at a minimum, I think, are pretty reasonable, or is a pretty reasonable ask. But regardless, you know, that's not up to me to decide. That's for the developers. I'm just kind of throwing in my 2 cents here. Did a small little test, and in large, it was mainly for your guys' entertainment. So like I said, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.